What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Wednesday night edition of Fourth and Go. We are Philly 4 for 4, plus so much more. And it is a winning Wednesday as the teams around town have started throwing up the dubs on the regularity. Flyers on a roll, Sixers playing well out in the West Coast, and obviously the Eagles put on that number one seed out in display this Saturday night against the New York Giants. I'm Dave Gleckner, and that's Mark Tomasini. And I want to welcome in Mark with a special message.
Yes, sir. Sorry. There we go. What up? What up? Welcome to another winning Wednesday. But unfortunately, I got to start this off with a little bit of a loss locally. Actually, an NBA legend passed away last night. His name is Chris Ford. He's from Atlantic City. He actually was really good friends with my father and my uncle. They grew up together, went to Holy Spirit High School together, and attended Villanova. He was a star there, drafted in the second round. I think he was drafted by the Pistons. He played for the Pistons. He played for the Celtics. He was on the 81 team that knocked the Sixers out. And then he became he coached around the league for a while. He was with the Celtics, obviously, the Lakers, the Clippers, and even did a little stint in Philly. He was an assistant coach here, and he was an interim coach. I think he only coached 12 games in the 2003-2004 season. But, it hits closer to me. I've met him a couple times. Obviously great conversation with him, but he is an Atlantic City legend. He takes care of everybody around there. He was always looking out, great family man, and all the, dedications. I mean, it was everywhere today, on, TMZ, Sports Illustrated, the Celtics put out a post, the Pistons put out a post, just a lot of love and outpouring. Jay Wright did a dedication to him. So, I'm thinking about the Ford family. They were, family that we were close with. Especially my father and my uncle. So, just rest in peace to Chris Ford. And I just thought that, his time needed to be heard and remembered. So, but with that, as you can see, I have the hoodie under the jersey. I'm ready for Saturday night because I'm going to be there.
Me too. Hey,
all right.
Well put. Let me just say, well put.
Yeah.
Some of the things and I didn't even know. I mean, we talked quickly, but how much you knew.
Sorry to interrupt. I forgot. Why I say NBA legend, he made the first three-pointer ever in NBA history.
No, that's great. And I know we talked quickly about this before, but Chris Ford's a guy that reminds me in a way of Hubie Brown, a guy that's been kind of out there in the NBA circles, Jim Lynam-esque from around here for so many years. And it was funny when we did see him on the Sixers sideline. He had AI, right? For a quick second, was it? Yeah. And I don't think he quite saw eye to eye with him for that short period either. It was a maturing process, obviously, for AI, but Chris Ford, you could see. I mean, I almost remember Clippers too. Was there some time out in LA?
Yeah, he was. He was a coach of the Clippers. Yep.
Yeah, and but all I can ever remember is, like you said, the local ties. You always heard about the Villanovas and drafted and the big games he played for the Celtics, even back here when he played against the Sixers. So rest in peace, a great basketball mind, a great basketball legend, and someone that was close to this area. So I think you said it well. But yeah, let's talk. I'm there Saturday night. I can't wait. Mark, my plans right now, back in the day, used to do it up big 7 hours early. I got a few things going on. I'm thinking 5 o'clock-ish. Where are you hitting?
Probably a little later than that for me. Probably not much of a tailgating day, just to, go and enjoy the game, have a drink or two, but I'm going to be like laser focused in. I'm really,
Where are you sitting?
127.
We might be close.
Oh, okay.
End zone?
Corner end zone, I think.
Actually, I think we're across from each other. Well, we'll see. I'm in the other end zone. I'm on the 95 side, M11. So,
I think.
Yeah, I'm where the Eagles almost come out of the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So awesome. Yeah, I'm real pumped for this game this weekend. We can get right into that wild card weekend. Actually, let's call it super wild card weekend, as they do now with the addition of the 7th seed and 6 games spreading from Saturday through Monday. It did not disappoint. We said it, like those games that are 14 points, it take the dog. Like it just feels like, and Miami did it again. Baltimore did it at 8.5. Only one that didn't do it was Seattle, but some of these bigger numbers, these games are contested, especially divisional games. And it really was a special weekend. And it started Saturday night with the 27-0 comeback of our Jacksonville Jaguars. I say our because we took them last weekend and Dougie P came up.
Oh,
Man, I tell you, some of the stuff I read about Doug was that he went into a pure adjustment mode once he saw those 4 interceptions and really hurried up the offense. And they struck when they ran plays in less than, I want to say 20 seconds, something in that time frame. They had like 16 over 10-yard plays. He really changed the pace of the game and let his quarterback stop thinking and really attacked a defense there. That was on its heels for the better of 2.5 quarters. So shout out to Dougie, but also they chargered. That's what they call it, charging, and they did it.
That's that. I mean, that's why I said it's all about the play caller, and it was Brandon Staley and what he did with that team. And I said he was going to be a downfall and the reason why that they lose this game.
Yep.
So big.
And was he? I agree. But at the same time, it's not like he made the boneheaded decisions. They just didn't convert. That's the things that they didn't do. Right. It's not like he went out there and riverboat ronned it, but
no, he didn't.
You can't lose.
But still, but I mean, you have a 27-0 lead. I mean, that some of that has to fall on the coach. That's just a requirement. If you got something, you see them clawing back, you got to find a way to. I mean, they have talent. Remember, this is there's no way that they should have lost such a big lead. Yeah, no, and then went into Sunday. And you saw a Dolphins team compete the heck out of the game and really come down to a situation where they had a chance to win, and you had to give them credit. And then you go right into the afternoon game, another really good, hotly contested game with the Giants and the Vikings, and Daniel Jones closing it out in style, and Kirk Cousins throwing it 3 yards on 4th and 8. It was just mind-boggling. And then you go to the night game. and you got Tyler Huntley, reaching the ball over from Superman region from 2 yards out, and J.K. Dobbins questioned everything, and he's right about it. And Harbaugh making another just questionable coaching decision. And Monday night ended probably with a little bit less dramatic than what we saw all weekend, but great weekend in general. Absolutely. I mean, super wild card weekend. They're getting what they want, and I think it was they call it Disney since Disney owns ESPN. One of their best football games outings ever for the viewership game. Yeah, viewership. Yeah. I think it was like 30.6 million or something like that. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but Disney, they need these numbers, and it just happens to work out that way. There's a lot of politics behind it and everything that's going on there, so that could affect what ESPN does in the future. Just interesting that it came out like that, but they labeled it not as ESPN's, but Disney's viewership that night. So they definitely took the credit. Good, because I got some Disney stock that needs to start going back up. But anyway, talking about the Super Wildcard weekend, we roll into the divisional weekend. And look, I just got off a show with 2 Giants fans, and I got 2 really good Giants friends, like can call them 2 of my best friends. And in the end, I'm being very cautious in how I attack this game. And I'm being understandable that the Giants have really started to play some good football this past 4 or 5 weeks. And they ended with a great victory for them in Minnesota against one of the most fraudulent 13-4 teams you'll ever see in the history of the league. I have my opening statement here of saying I'm cautious right now. I think we are that much better of a team. I think we are that much better at the quarterback position, that much better at the receiver position, the offensive line position, the tight end position, running back. I'll give them. So we cleaned that on the offense, 4 out of 5. Defense, I think we're better at defensive line, better defensive secondary, better linebacking core. I don't know where they're better there. And on special teams, kicker is a coin flip. It's just give me 10 positions. Eagles win 9 of them, man. I'm just but I'm still cautious. I wanted to get your temperature where you're at today on a Wednesday. I am cautious. I mean, I really think that they'll be able to pull this out. They should, like you said, on paper, they are the better team. But we've seen weirder things happen. I mean, And it depends. The Eagles, this is only like we've talked about this previously. This is only the second year that there is one team with a bye. And I feel like it usually does happen with the second place team that would finish with the bye, and they, easing up a little bit towards the end of the season. And then they go into the first round or the divisional round, and they get smacked because they're just not ready. The reason why I think that the Eagles will survive this and be fine is that they needed this break. It would have been disadvantageous for them to play last week, because I think there's still caution tape around Jalen, but I think they're going to let him do his thing. The good thing is I don't think they're going to have to completely rely on him in this game. And I think that's why it's okay. So he was able to rest. He's, 2 days in a row not listed as a injury, not listed on the injury report at all. So it's good. But I feel like the Giants are playing better. I do agree with you. And that game against Minnesota was good. Minnesota's defense, though, is terrible. And if you look at what the Giants did, I don't think they won more than 2 games in a row this year. And they were, I forget the numbers. I was looking at their win-loss of like the last 9 games or something like that. But they would have like a win, 2 losses in a row, a win, tie. There's no consistency there. But I do agree with you. They are playing better football at the right time. They did get hot when it mattered. But this is a team that also tied with Washington. This is a team that, we smoked just, a month ago. So, and then people want to talk about this game. It's like, all right, we were playing our vanilla offense against their second stringers. And sometimes the second stringers have something to play for. Not making excuses, but I think if the Eagles have full throttle, I think it's going to be a different story.
I'm with you. Again, putting this on paper and looking at all the positional advantages and the roster advantages we have, and just even in a way, a coaching advantage. Sirianni coaching a playoff game last year. Dable is his first season. I just think the Giants are kind of trailing behind where the Eagles are in the evolution scale of an NFL team. And that's okay. They've done great. They've exceeded expectations. But if you put me on a neutral game with zero momentum in charge, Eagles win by 3 touchdowns. The only difference is the Eagles have been kind of sledding uphill, we'll put it that way, and just, getting to this point of getting this important bye. But they're not coming in with this added momentum, which can be good or bad. Right. In one standpoint of, is it good that you're not playing for something for about 3 weeks? No, but and you could argue that we were playing for something week 18. I get it, but it was kind of a formality once the Giants had everybody. But but in the end, it kind of reminds me of what happened in 2017. And let's even take it steps back. The Eagles are 5-0 in divisional round home games. And they're looking to make it 6-0. They're good in this spot. When they had the first round bye, they made sure that they got this done. The next week was always a challenge, but this week is one that they scouted for, they planned for, and Jeff's been there the whole time. Howie's been there a lot of it. I think they're going to be ready for this game. And I think the Giants, for all the good stuff they have going on, and they really, really do, it was the Minnesota Vikings. And it was a horrendous 13-14. Horrendous. 32nd against the pass. Just bad. I just think the Eagles will be able to – I think there's a lot of talk right now about how the Eagles aren't ready. I think they're going to be ready.
Yeah, I don't think you play this whole season the way you did and were as dominant as you were. And that, I mean, you run into an injury, and again, I fault the coaches at points for things that they've done, put them in the positions that they've been in. But at the same time, like with the talent on the field, I mean, they executed. They did everything you need from start to finish. I mean, honestly, I look back and only really the Cardinals game, they didn't give us much. They still won due to a missed kick. And the Commanders game, Washington had the blueprint, went with it. The Eagles, I think, adjusted since. Obviously, they went, on that 3-game tear. But besides that, those are the only 2 games I can look back and say, because I throw out the Minshew games, like really the Saints game and the Giants game, obviously when Hurts came back, and the Cowboys game, we went toe to toe. We lost Avonte Maddox and Lane Johnson. You saw the way that the game changed when we lost both of those players, but the Eagles are better than what they've looked like the past month. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. They've really played like to Jalen's record, 14-1. Even if you go 13-1, not counting that Giants game, they were a really good team for all that time. Not about this.
And we played 4 night games this year.
Yeah.
What was it? 2 Mondays, a Thursday, and a Sunday. And with 5, we lost the one to Washington, but in 4 of those, we came out and we just absolutely dominated. Won by 45, averaging 11. The one we lost to the Commanders, I get it. It was a little bit of in a way, a bad spot in the season.
The roadblock,
9-0 or 8-0. I'm sorry. But they really have shined for the most part on any time that they've needed to step up and play an important game versus an important game. They've got caught in trap games. They got caught in the Saints. They got caught in the Commanders. I don't call the Cowboys a trap game. That's a turnover game. But 2 of their losses were kind of just in those lulls. But every game that they needed to show up for in an important time and with the spotlights on, they have shown up and they played really well. And I trust Sirianni. I mean, Sirianni. The one game, we had a bye this year before, what was it, the Steelers week, and came out 135-13 off a bye. I think he's going to have the answers. I think he scripted game plans against, Giants. That was a realistic game, and Cowboys Tampa. I don't think he thought Seattle would win. So I think they had plenty of time to script against this team. And I think I have a lot of confidence. I don't love the 7.5. I think, I could see the Giants, Eagles win by 7 comfortably. If that makes sense. But I think the Giants will have a fight. That's what that coach does. But I just think the Eagles are that much better of a team.
Yeah, absolutely. They absolutely are that much better a team. It's just about them executing, and it's about the coaches putting them in the right positions as well. But I think this is a big moment for Jalen. I think this honestly, like, I know he obviously was in the running for MVP for a while there, and then obviously the injury happened and that didn't come to fruition, but I don't think the league still believes in him yet. And I mean, geez, we just started coming around on him too. So, I mean, who are we to talk? But I will say this, if they win this game and they win this game well, go on to the NFC Championship. I mean, this could be, if they have a game, anything like they did against the Giants a couple weeks ago, this is Jalen's coming out party, and then the league is fully on notice. And I really think he has an opportunity to fill his pockets a little more. And I really don't think that he's looking to do that. Obviously, I know his eyes are on the prize and he's ready to go, but this is also a financial opportunity for him. I mean, they really just have to make it past this game for them to say, all right, we're backing up the truck for you. You're going to get paid as the next guy until the next highest guy gets paid after you. All he has to do is win this game. And I know it's, again, like I said, it's not about the money, but this is a chance to solidify yourself as the guy for the next 5 years, because as long as you don't throw tantrums and fits and, not show up to practice or, do the whole Carson Wentz thing, you're here, you're beloved. Like, I got to say, besides the few doubters that are left there, there's nothing about Jalen that you can hate. Yeah. And this team has rallied around him. They brought it all together. It took me a little bit, because I love the guy's intangibles, but I was just like, I don't think he has the arm. He shows he has the arm, especially just to see what he can do coming off of that injury. And when he's actually really slinging the ball, that's going to be interesting to see. So I think this has the opportunity to be a huge night for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles.
I do too. And here's what I'm going to ask you, and I'll start with my comments. But how do you think this game plays out from an offensive standpoint? I'll say this much. Wink Martindale played a really confounding defensive game plan last week, and that's the Giants defensive coordinator. For those that don't know, Wink Martindale came from the Baltimore Ravens system over to join Brian Dable's staff this year, and he is a blitz-heavy blitzaholic, you would almost call him. But last week, he dialed it down. And he went zone, and he went a lot of heavy coverage of double teams over top with Justin Jefferson. And if you understand the Giants, that's rightfully so, because the Giants just don't play number one receivers very well. And they were willing to take away Jefferson and make Kirk beat him everywhere else. And Hawkinson was one of those that was beating him. KJ Osborne got a touchdown. Thielen got a touchdown. So you did see Minnesota still had their chances. And I think if he comes in with a similar game plan, I think that's plays in the Eagles' hands. But what I think he'll come with is I think he's going to come back with that blitz-heavy scheme. Jalen Hurts, let me take that back. Blitz-heavy scheme was zone behind. I think Jalen Hurts is top 10 in the league versus the blitz, versus man-to-man, and versus no blitz man-to-man. So blitz man-to-man, and no blitz man-to-man kills it. The one he struggles at, he's 32nd in the league, is blitz zone coverage. So I think he's going to try and do that. I think he saw some success in week 18 just bringing this free safety or the cornerback off the line. I think he'd be stupid to bring that again. He'll bring it once in a while, but he's not going to bring it time and time again because the Eagles have seen it and they saw a ton of it. But I think he's going to find some ways to get some extra men in the box and then play zone behind and see if Jalen can find the right read. With that said, I think the Eagles are going to be a heavy running game this week. And I think it's going to be Sanders, Hurts, Goddard. I think we're going to just see a heavy dose of that run game and then the RPO to a tight end out in the middle when they take that back away to commit to the run. I think we're going to see those three really succeed this week. I think you're going to see heavy doses of run and RPO. And then once that starts loosening things up, it's AJ and it's Devontae. But I think the Eagles open this up with what we've been begging for. And I think it's a run game centric type of offense. And it's using Hurts' legs, which they wouldn't show in week 18.
Yeah, so I think they've been holding not only Hurts' running, because I think the thing is Hurts running and the running backs, they go hand in hand. I think one without the other really doesn't work too well right now with the backs that they have, but they have a nice mix. So the thing is, you really have 4 running backs in that scenario when it comes to running, because obviously Hurts has the option to run or hand it off. So I think they start the game. Well, honestly, so here's the thing, because, Hawkinson has had 2 games of success against the Giants. He had 100-something yards against them in week 16, I think it was, Christmas Eve, the game before ours. So the Giants are susceptible to the tight end. So if the running game doesn't get going early, but I think it does, obviously they're going to go to Hawkinson to spread the field out. Here's the thing. This is the beauty of Jalen Hurts. He can run, he can pass, and I feel like there is something else. Or he can hand the ball off. He can throw off the defense completely, because if they're blitzing heavy, he's going to roll out. I really think he's going to go for it all. I think he's going to be smart with his decision-making, but I think we're going to see a lot more running with him. Obviously, you have the Miles Sanders of the world. Don't be surprised if you see some more Kenny Gainwell. Now, I know Boston Scott is the giant killer, but I think Kenny Gainwell might be the shiftiness, because you saw what he did to their defense. Again, I know as a second-string defense, he was able to bust out big 7-8 yard runs consistently. And I think even the Giants starters are still susceptible to that. They still give up to the run. And I think Kenny Gainwell might, honestly, I don't know if this will happen, but in my opinion, I think he could be the one that would have a really nice game for them. Just being able to extend drives, being able to put them in 3rd and shorts. I think that would be big. And then you can swing him out of the backfield. I think it starts with Gainwell and Goddard. They're going to spring. Obviously, Sanders is the starter, but to me, I think Gainwell is the perfect back for this scenario. Then, like you said, I agree with you about the loosening up of AJ and Devontae once we get Goddard and Gainwell going.
Yeah, I hear you. And then the one part I want to ask you is, and I think we're similar at how it's going to open up. Does Boston Scott, the giant killer, come in and be a factor in this one?
Like he does. I think he does. I'm just saying in general, like I think
I get it. I'm just saying, does Boston also?
Oh, he always does. He always does for whatever reason. And then, of course, they have Marc and Dave says today, he goes, he's not a giant killer. It's like, is he?
That's all we needed to hear.
He's got 10 TDs against you and probably as many games, if that. I mean,
that's it.
So I think he's a nice change of pace, but there's just, I don't know. Again, they really haven't relied on Gainwell that much this year. And they did a lot the other day. And I just think, because Sanders had a really good game against them, I think they're going to hone in on him. I think what you have with Gainwell is you have a better receiver out of the backfield and a guy who can just spring 7 or 8 yards on you. I
Yeah,
think
the Giants D sucks. Let's just be honest. Dexter Lawrence has played amazing, and he's going to be tough to cover in the middle, and we're going to have to find a way to kind of neutralize him because he is a force. Outside of that, there's not a player I fear on that. I mean, Thibodeau is nice. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, doing your snow angels and your gritties and stuff like,
Oh, I get it. I mean,
I'm not sure he's earned that, and I think the Eagles are going to find a way to pancake the hell out of that guy.
I hope so. I think the one thing is I don't think he's going to be a constant influence on the game, but I think he unfortunately has the opportunity to be a game changer just by like one play. That's kind of what I out of him. But also I look at how we treated Micah Parsons in the first Cowboys game. I think we could do the same thing. Go at him and just make him look stupid.
And I think that's going to come back to haunt him. So I do think the Eagles are going to be able to be the more physical team. And listen, if you watch any NFL show in the past 2 weeks, it's Niners, and now it's Cowboys. So the Eagles are the forgotten team. And in 2017, they were a little forgotten too. So this is a really, really good situation with the Eagles. And if anybody gets it, they know that, being the hunters sometimes is better being the hunted. And I think this week they're going to show up and being the hunters. And I'm really excited for this game. I'm really excited for the opportunity of the Eagles. The only thing that I'm concerned about, well, let me say, not the only thing, 2 things. The momentum factor, even though, again, I think we can create our own momentum early, but I would have liked to see a little bit more momentum going in. And secondly, the coach. I'm still a little nervous that this guy will – I've seen games where Miles Sanders doesn't touch it until the middle of the second quarter. I've seen games where, even with Gardner Minshew under center, Miles Sanders gets 2 carries in the first half. It's I want to just – and Jonathan Gannon still scares me a little bit because a guy that, is going to be sought after for head coaching jobs, still finds ways to play too soft. So it's going to be really, really interesting for me, the 2 concerns of, can we get over the hump with this coaching staff that has shown they can win games in the regular season? Can they show up in the playoffs? Any concerns you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, simple. Gannon, don't rely on zone. Only go zone when, you have a cushiony lead or every once in a while. You got to go man to man. That's when you're most effective. You can't.
Except that Daniel Jones can run man to man. Like, you got to have maybe a spy if you do man to man.
Sure. Yeah, I think TJ Edwards could have a big game.
Yeah,
an eye on him. I think he's good because some of your guys you can even drop back in coverage on the D line. You don't want to do that, but that's something that you can do if you have to, if that's a possibility. But Gannon, don't rely on zone, and Steichen, run the ball. Just run the ball. Be creative. Don't try and air it out all the time. Here's the thing. A lot of teams, I think one of the Eagles' biggest weaknesses is when they're losing the time of possession battle. Win that. You got the game. Just win the
I like
it. That's it. Run the ball.
So we get into our predictions, and it's a Wednesday, and luckily it's Saturday night. So, I mean, we're 3 sleeps away from this, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And, as much as I've been hooting and hollering and saying I'm cautious, and I can really see a script and a path where the Eagles can win this game handily. I'm going to give my prediction and say we win this one 31-18. They're going to have some weird numbers, and they're going to have a chance to cover this game late, but I really like the Eagles team total of over 27.5. I think they get there. I think they score enough points in this game. Giants have not won in this stadium in, I think, 9 years. Talked earlier, Eagles are 5-0 in divisional home games. And, there's some differences with coaching staffs and whatever, but they're still Lurie and they're still Howie, and they understand how this process works. And I understand that last year was a stepping stone. This is where they envisioned to be, and they're here now, and Hurts the same way. I think they get it done. And I think they get it done. Look, they're going to have a close game in the playoffs. It's just the same as when we did in 2017. The close game was divisional round. The blowout was championship round. I think it kind of flips a little bit, and I think the Eagles win this one double digits and have a really, really interesting, tough, challenging game the next week.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. For my score, I would say 35-27. 35-27 is where my score is at. I honestly think I'm kind of in the same line as you. I think this offense has been bottled up since Jalen got hurt. They haven't really been able to do anything, and I think they let the top off. And I think they have an explosive game. But I think they also play smart. But I think what's going to happen is early, I think they're going to let the running game and Goddard, at the beginning of the drive, at the beginning of the first drive, get things going. And then something over the top to AJ or Devontae, I think really springs this thing open and they just get to keep going. I think the defense is still going to look. Jonathan Gannon still loves his zone. I think he's going to go to it a couple times. I think Saquon is going to be able to do things. So with that being said, I think the Eagles will – it's not going to feel comfortable the whole way through, but I think midway through the fourth quarter, I think we'll be in a position where they're just running the ball to eat the clock.
Yeah, awesome. I think we're looking at an NFC Championship game, and then it's all roses and it's coin flips, and not every great team wins at that point. I mean, the Bills lost in this round last year when easily could have got there, but getting to the Final Four would be an amazing accomplishment for this team, and really, with the potential to be sitting in Arizona 2 weeks later is something that we're all thirsting. So, again, all due respect to the Giants with the job Brian Dable's done, Saquon, Daniel Jones, but if the Eagles don't win this game, it's a massive upset, and I think the Eagles will win this game. And I do think they will have the ability to kind of impose their will. Lane Johnson's going to play on a torn abductor. He's going to find a way to fight this out because in the end, it's all about the team, and the team is a well-balanced, well-oiled machine. So I'm excited. Have you heard anything about Avante this week?
No, so I have heard. It doesn't look like he's going to play.
Yeah, that's what
he was listed on the did not practice again on this. This was their most intense practice of the week. Okay. Maybe something crazy happens, but the one thing that I'm okay with is the Giants receivers they're not 3 deep. I mean, Darius Slayton, I've always respected Darius Slayton. This Isaiah Hodges kid has really come on past couple of games, but this is a big spot. Yeah. This is a really big spot, and I don't think he's ready for it. I mean, this is a borderline practice squad player. Besides that, they don't have Wan'Dale Robinson. They don't have Sterling Shepard.
Richie James is good.
Richie, that's true. That's true. But
again,
in James is the more athletic one. Yeah. I think somebody like Isaiah Hodges can be stopped. I think that's where I'm getting at. And even if they're 2 receivers deep, you got Slay and Bradbury. And here's another thing too, in regards to why they need to win this game and why they really need to just do everything the right way, because honestly, they have the pieces. This is, again, just like 2017. They brought a bunch of guys on 1-year deals. They hadn't paid the quarterback yet. This is that last opportunity before Jalen Hurts gets paid to win a championship, because it's not that often that the guys who make the quarterbacks who make the most money end up winning Super Bowls. This is your best chance. This is probably their best chance that they're going to have because of the scenario that they have. I mean, there's going to be guys on the defense that we're not going to be paying this offseason because we can't afford it. I mean, you're taking a chance with Bradbury. I think you would think they have to be extending Gardner Johnson. You would think that, trading for him, but you got Gardner Johnson, Bradbury, Kaiser White. The offense is locked in place for the most part, with the exception of Miles Sanders. It's the defense where you could have a lot of holes next year. Your defensive line is getting older. Hargrave is a potential free agent. I mean, Cox is gone, probably, you would think. Brandon Graham, he's older. He might, sign back for a hometown discount. Then you lose Kaiser White, potentially, because he didn't get paid a lot this year, and he's made something of it. TJ Edwards, he's a free agent. He's never gotten his payday yet because he was an undrafted free agent.
Oh, we got Kobe Dean.
Gardner Johnson. Right. No, and the Kobe Dean can step in there, but we have two linebackers that we could rely on for most of the season. I know it got a little iffy there with Kaiser White in coverage, but for the most part, short tackler, a guy who did a lot. There's a lot. The defense is going to look a lot different next year. They're going to have to draft well. So here's the thing. Make sure the coaches are all in on just doing whatever it takes to win. Don't stick to your zone or don't stick to your playbook. Do what's best for the team in this game because this makes or breaks them going forward.
No, I agree. And if you look back at 2017, it's a very similar situation when Wentz was still on a rookie contract. Granted, first round, a little different than Hurts, but you still had your, Chris Longs, you still had a lot of pieces that you could have retained. And then all of a sudden you had to make this choice between Foles and Wentz in the offseason. And you chose Wentz and hit him big. And you had a situation where you were going to lose pieces. And we did. At that time, not only did we lose pieces from a football standpoint, I mean, Torrey Smith was no longer. There was a lot of little things that we lost.
Jay Jai. I mean, it's yeah, on.
Yeah. And then the coaching carousel would be too. It's a situation where this is the last year they'll be intact from a Steichen, Gannon, Sirianni standpoint. And it's time. And it's time to lock this up now. It's their best opportunity. 100% agree with that. Let's move on to the other games being played this weekend. And is there a game you really favor that you want to give a pick on, or do you want me to just roll one out to you?
You roll one out to me.
All right, let's start with Saturday. You got the other number one seed on the other side of the conference, the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. Favored, in most markets, you'll see it differently, but close to 8 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dougie P, Andy Reid, just what a wonderful matchup while we roll into Saturday night. And you got the momentum, the energy of the Jags coming off that great win, but you also have two teams that play each other earlier in the season. And when the Chiefs won, the Jags fell to 3-7, and Doug rallied around them in the locker room that day and said, we are going to be playing for something in week 18. And he was correct. And there they go, 6-1, and went the playoff win 7-1 since that point. What do you have in this game, and how do you see it going?
All right. So with the Chiefs hosting, it's a very tough place to play in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I know Doug Peterson is familiar with it. The Jaguars are coming off. Their last two games have been do or die, obviously, with the game against the Titans to make it into the playoffs. And then, with this come from behind win against the Chargers, I think time is running out. I think Doug Peterson has been a good coach, but I think the level of team on paper between the Jags and the Chiefs, the Jags are not special. And again, the Chargers, I think, have not met their potential. And I think they hold themselves back, obviously, due to coaching and stuff like that. And I think that the Jags have had to put themselves on the line the past essentially 2 months. It's a lot going in the Arrowhead playoff atmosphere. Pat Mahomes on his way to probably an MVP. I think it's going to be a very hostile and tough environment, even with Doug knowing what's going on. You saw what Trevor Lawrence did at home against the Chargers defense. Chargers defense is good. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, a lot of talent on that defense, but he did not look great. They changed things, as you said, but I think it's just way too much. If it's me, I'm a betting man. If it's my money, I know it's a big number. It's not a huge number, big number. Chiefs -8.5. That's the way I would roll.
So Chiefs haven't played well in that role, but what I will say is they won 27-17 in the earlier matchup, and I think they lost the turnover battle 3-0 and still won by 10. So I do think you got a situation here where I kind of lean your way, but what I will say is I like the under in this game. Chiefs do not typically play with a lot of pace when they're favored like this. So they tend to play a slower game. So I lean under in this. 53 just seems like a ton for me. I lean under. But the game I'll take, and then I'll leave the night game for you on Sunday. I'll take the Bills-Bengals. This thing keeps kind of like, the good old Back to the Future car. It keeps fluctuating. And, you're seeing spikes up to 5.5, 6, and back down to 4. In this case tonight, we're sitting at 5, and I do like the Buffalo Bills in this matchup. I respect the hell out of the Chiefs, and the Bengals, and I think they're a really, really good team, and I think they're a team that's feisty and fights. But in the end, I think the holes at the offensive line are just going to be too large to really be able to come back from. I think the Bills had their scare. They had their moment, and everybody's going to doubt them now that they played Skylar Thompson at 34-31. I'm not. Division games are always tricky and tough, and you find yourselves in ruts at times. And the Bills did, and the fluky turnovers that Allen has. He had one interception in his career in the playoffs before last week. I don't see himself repeating that. I like the Bills in this matchup to cover the 5. Love the Bengals. I'm telling you, I really, really, Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, they're my boys. I love them, but I think the Bills just have a little bit more looking over them and a little more to play for this week. And it takes a lot to get to the Super Bowl. It took the Bengals winning 2 road games last year against the Titans and Chiefs, and almost pulling it out. And I think the luck finally runs out.
It's a tough spot to be in, honestly. Like that's probably your most well-rounded. Well, it's the most well-rounded matchup of the weekend for sure. It's a great matchup, I really think, because as good as Allen and Woods are together, and the receivers and what they can do, the offense of Cincinnati minus their line is spectacular between Mixon, Burrow, Chase, Boyd, Higgins, even though that's been an interesting situation. But you look at that, I don't think their defense is enough to withstand what the Bills can do. So that's honestly, it could go either way. I could see the Bengals coming in and playing spoiler, but if it were me, and I have a feeling that DeMar Hamlin's going to be there, and I think it's going to be a thing, and I just think the momentum and what this city has been urging for, and they're going to do everything in their grasp to get to the Super Bowl. Bills Mafia is going to be, I think the decibel levels are going to be on another level. So I'm leaning your way too. So then that leaves the Sunday night game, Cowboys at 49ers. Everybody's back on the Cowboy train because of their win. Tom Brady didn't know what he was doing out there. He looked awful. Tampa Bay looked like garbage. Don't get me started about the Cowboys kicker, but the Cowboys are a decent team. Actually, a couple of my friends and I were having a conversation about this earlier today. And this one person said that the Cowboys don't get enough respect. Not true. I think they get too much respect. I think they're borderline fraudulent. Here's the thing. They have a lot of good offensive weapons. I mean, honestly, CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard are great for that team. And Elliott's been up and down, and the defense is decent, but you can only go as far as Dak Prescott will take you. And I think he is the reason why they will not be able to get over the hump against San Francisco. San Francisco is an opportunistic defense. Now, everybody says that, San Francisco's defense is so much better than ours. They're not really. Statistically, they're not really. And they kind of blitz the same amount. But I just think they're really opportunistic, and they have a stud middle linebacker who really changes the game. Yeah. I think Fred Warner does things for them.
And Bosa.
They're unreal. Their defensive line gets pressure. They don't have to send crazy blitzes. So to me, I think San Francisco gets at least 2 turnovers because Dak Prescott will be careless with the ball. And the line is minus 3.5 that I see, even if it's 3 or 4, doesn't matter. Honestly, I could see a double-digit victory by San Francisco here because I think that the difference in caliber between San Francisco and Dallas is insurmountable. I think it's like this.
Yeah, I respect your opinion. I respect the way you go. And in the end, I mean, what we saw Monday night, Dallas looked really good. And we've seen Dallas in those parts. And it's Brock Purdy and it's Dak Prescott. And I think the gap at quarterback is pretty wide, actually in the Cowboys' favor. And I mean, I think the best opponent for the Eagles, to be honest, next week is the Dallas Cowboys because coming off 2 road wins, can we really see them winning 3 when they haven't won, since 1993? Dallas is set up well to play against the 49ers because they have an aggressive defensive line that can confuse and really create some havoc for a guy that was Mr. Irrelevant. But in the end, my biggest bet of the weekend is going to be the San Francisco 49ers because it's in a perfect position. It's all love for the Dallas Cowboys. It's all back into the Dak's lap. But what we saw when the pressure's on and the Washington Commanders coming into town in Week 18, they smoke him. When it matters the most, he shrivels. And I just think it's going to be so much love and so much more focus on the star than what the real better team is. And you're right, it's the San Francisco 49ers. So throw out what I said from the first half of this conversation. Yeah. Lock it in, lock it down. I think the San Francisco 49ers absolutely whitewash the Cowboys. They win by double digits, similar to what you said. Lock it in, have some fun with that money. Teams are cyclic, and what you see one week to the next is not always the same. The Cowboys showed you that in Week 18 to now the playoffs. Don't get fooled by what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. They were a 4-13 cover team in the National Football League, the worst team to ever make the playoffs with that record against the spread, and they showed it on Monday night. Brady out there playing basketball with bounce passes. I don't get to whatever is what he did. Dallas didn't even create that much pressure. I really like the Niners this week. I think they just find a way. They won last time, right? They won last year against Dallas in the same similar situation, except it was in Dallas. Shanahan versus McCarthy, forget about it.
We're good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're on. Would you lose me for a sec?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up our picks on this weekend. So we got Eagles playing the Niners. Mark and I both have Chiefs Bills, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. We'll wait till next week to break those down and see what they are. What we do know is the NFC Championship game will be the early game next Sunday. So whoever it is, wherever it's at, hopefully it's here in Philadelphia. We'll be, loud and proud come 3:00 next Sunday. But as we move on, let's script it, flip it, and go over to the basketball, the hardwood, and talk Philadelphia 76ers. They entered a 5-game West Coast swing, playing the likes of Utah, Portland, both LAs, and coming back down to Sacktown. Mark, if we got out at 2-3, I would have been like, okay. 3-2, I would have been like, great. Guess what? We're already 3-0. And we're starting to see Doc's kind of, look, he's an idiot, but he finally decided I'm going to put Maxey back on the bench and run this different unit. And Maxey on the bench enables you to be able to play him at the start of the fourth quarter, and he single-handedly won the game for the Sixers last night. I know Embiid at 41, but Maxey scoring 11 in a row to open up the fourth quarter in what was a one-point game is the reason he should be on the bench, and he can be more free, right? He played with the whole bench squad at the start of fourth quarter because we know that's what Doc plays. He has no idea how to manage a team. He always ends up with 4 bench players starting the fourth quarter or 5 in most cases. So it actually is to his benefit now that he's got Tyrese on the bench, and I think it's starting to show. James is looking good, Joel is looking good, but we need that third punch. Toby's fine, like he's going to be there when we need him. 6 steals the other night, great, but I've been really impressed, and they're a half game out of the 2 seed, a couple games out of the top seed. Like they're playing some good basketball.
Yeah, no, this team is striking at the right time. Obviously, I feel like every week we keep saying Doc's not getting fired, and obviously it's not happening. And it's fine. It's okay. I mean, obviously, I don't know what it causes for the future, but if you look at this team and they're kind of they look like they're starting to play in win now mode. Like they got to get the job done. You hear James talking about, this might be the best team that, with the best chances that I've been on. And, they need to be able to do so. I mean, Boston's having a really good year, but you're seeing the Nets come back to earth. Milwaukee, they're coming down. They're having a little issues over there. And, it's tough, 3 games. Well, really, that's right. The Thunder was a home game. So there are already 3 games on the road. It's, tough against the Lakers. Here's the thing. Not the Lakers just being out west. And you look at the fact that James Harden didn't have a great game last night, but the others stepped up. And you're starting to see that if somebody's down, the others are stepping up. I think that is the way that this goes, because before it was just Joel and everybody else just kind of watch him play basketball. You're seeing other guys step up. And the thing is, I think just like the rest of Philadelphia had the same question, but what should you play Maxey off the bench? Look, DeAnthony Melton earned his place in there.
Yep.
Maxey is coming off of an injury. It's not really a detriment to Maxey. It's just he's coming off of an injury. But the whole caveat to it was he's still going to play 30 to 35 minutes a game. It's not like he wasn't. It's just about switching up the rotations and having Melton in there. And, it's a maturity process. And they talked to Maxey after the game the other night, and you could tell he was a little bummed because there was a rumor that Maxey texted Doc and said, take me off bring me in off the bench. But then it's the way that Maxey talked about it afterward. He didn't seem like it was his idea to come off the bench, but I think he did the best way as possible because he's a very young kid. And sometimes you forget how young he is. And you can tell he's disappointed that he's not starting because he said, I'm a starter in this league. Like, this is what I do. But we're winning. And yeah, I'm still playing 33 minutes a game. But what it does is it's an extra boost and it's an extra burst for him. He can close games, just like you're saying. And it makes all the difference in the world. And a guy with his speed, him and De'Aaron Fox, they're that same Texas fast, point guard who can just change the speed of the game and how everybody else moves. Him having that burst does dividends for this team.
I agree. And let's be honest, like, as much as Joe is cooking and it's great, second in the league in scoring, he's absolutely out there to try and score and do nothing else. And I'm being honest, I watch him. There are so many people open, but instead he's just trying to get his, and it's working, right? And what I mean by that is, you mix in Maxey in the starting lineup and have to have 8 minutes of watching James Harden and Joel Embiid do a high screen and roll and nobody else touches the ball. You're really taking a lot out of Maxey's hands, where instead, by the time he comes in, only one of them's on the court. Wow. Now he has the freedom to get a little bit more touches, get a little bit more volume and then shots up. And I just think it works out really nice. You got passive players like Tobias DeAnthony and obviously PJ Tucker that wants nothing to do with shooting the ball, but just playing defense, which is fine if you're going to run that two-man game. And then now when you have the off moments of them out, it's Niang and it's Maxey, and it works. I'm really in belief that the best role for this team is for him to come off this bench. He's going to play in the fourth quarter. He's going to close out games, and he's going to be the spot-up shooter. But he's also going to get a lot more opportunities coming off the bench. And I think that's really important for this team.
Honestly, if he rides that position the rest of the year, I think this is good for this team. Because, next year or the year after, he will be starting again. It's not like
he starts next year. Yeah, he starts next year.
Right. There's no doubt. But I think if he relishes this position and he just really goes with it and stays tight with it, I think it only does better things for this squad.
Yeah, I think it makes a whole lot of trouble for other teams too, because we've always heard about the Sixers bench is debilitating to their ability to win some big games sometimes, and they have to overextend their starters. Bring him off the bench. The bench got better this year, don't get me wrong, but in years past, they didn't have this dimension to add, and he's been a starter for 2 years now, pretty much. Yeah. It's okay, and I think it's a beautiful move. Sixers winning out in Utah on a last-minute play by Embiid, winning in LA, last-minute play by Embiid defensively, and then last night having kind of a comfortable win against a full Clippers squad, by the way. Kawhi and Paul George playing. They both sat out tonight. Looking forward here, I think they go up to Portland and then back down to Sacramento.
Right. You're correct.
Yeah. So realistically, we're getting out here. Like, Sacramento's playing well. It's always been a little trap for us anyway. But we played decent in Portland. Get one of these two. Come back 4-1. You got the Nets coming into town. You got Denver coming in 2 Saturdays from now. So it's going to be a really this team's starting to play some good basketball. And we just need to see where they're at by, testing these teams out. So we'll see. But I'm excited to see the Sixers in an upward trend. How's that?
It is nice. It is nice. It's not doom and gloom. I mean, who knows? Things can always change with this season. We've been in this position where they finish first in the East and then they don't make it past the second round. So, I mean, obviously anything is possible, but this does seem like this team is really constructed well to move forward. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the rest of the season. And here's the thing, we're at the end of football season. There's a couple weeks left. That's full throttle. And it's going to be interesting to see what this team does. I know it's not like a real thing, but it's something in the background. What this team looks like when the Eagles aren't relevant anymore, when they're not in a playoff run. Sometimes there is a little psyche behind it, and it does change the way things go. When all eyes are on you, how are you going to perform? And this is now their opportunity, because they've let us down multiple years in a row. The past couple of years, it's been let down. They have their best constructed roster for this in an East that I wouldn't say is fully wide open. And honestly, I was a little more nervous about it. Luckily, they're playing well, but the Atlantas were scaring me. But there's a lot of turmoil going on there, and teams here and there like the Knicks and stuff like that. But Sixers have really, started pulling away a little bit from, they're back in that top 3, which you and I predicted at the beginning of this year. So it feels good. Yeah. I just think they got there sooner than I thought that they were going to, based on a couple of weeks ago. When they were in their, 5-6 area, I was like, all right, it's going to be an uphill climb, but they've been doing a lot of good things. I mean, with the spot loss to Thunder and just playing poorly, they could be even higher. But I mean, they're, like you said, they're a half game away from second place. So sky's the limit.
I guess my biggest fear, I think the top 4 are the top 4, and I think Cleveland lands at 5. Cleveland's good, but they're not a team I think they can win 3 playoff series against the top 4. Milwaukee has really disappointed me from a standpoint of they got a nice roster, but this injury to Middleton hurts. And maybe it's to a point that it's just not well-rounded enough anymore. Drew's nice, Lopez nice, but I think they lack, DiVincenzo was on that team, don't forget it, for a couple of years, and he looks well out in Golden State now. I think they lack some snipers off the bench. I know they got Nwora, and they're really trying to get Ingles involved, but if they don't get him going, that's a team I'm not too scared about. And then I look at the Nets. Always scare me when I look at Durant. The rest doesn't. Right. It really doesn't. I get Kyrie has a handle, and I get he can come up big in certain games, but outside of those two, it's Simmons you gotta rely on.
You live and die by them. You live and die by the two of them.
Yeah.
They don't use Steph Curry the way that we used him here. He hasn't been the same since he went over there.
Boston's one team I'm like, we do not match up well against, but everything else.
Stars that can just score endless buckets. It's tough. Just saying, they have good players around. I agree with you. They don't match up well with them. We never have.
So what does that mean? You got to get in the 2-3 seed, so you don't have to worry about that till the ECF. So that's really what the goal right now is, to get in the 2-3 and play it out. Because last year, getting stuck in the 4-5 and playing a Miami team that was the number 1 seed was tough for the Sixers, because the way they could space the ball and play defensively against them. But I think it'll be different this year, and it's really starting to trend in a good direction. Talking about trending in a good direction, that's the other team that shares the Wells Fargo Center. Those Philadelphia Flyers, I mean, they had a bump in the road, a big one the other day with the Boston Bruins losing 6-0, but then they come back last night with a very impressive win, and it just seems like this team's got a little up and up. Do you think there's any potential to see those Philadelphia Flyers in the orange and black play in the playoffs this year?
They're sniffing outside of the wild card. They're
not far out.
Give a thought
in a home and home,
Yeah, I mean that is surprising. I mean, this is John Tortorella written all over it. They're playing for him, and you're getting the most out of these young guys. You're, getting a nice mix. I still don't think that they can pull it off, but if they do, then I mean, egg on my face, and that's okay, because it means orange and black in the playoffs. I just think attrition will take over, but they've gotten really good goalie play behind Carter Hart. How long does that last? I don't know, but we'll see. I don't think it happens still, but crazier things have happened, and I can't say it's not a possibility. Like I said, I think there's still a lot of season left to play, but he's got them doing the most.
He really does. And I mean, looking at it coming up, Blackhawks, one of the worst teams in the league, can try and continue this. That could be 7 out of 10. Oh, I'm sorry, 8 out of 10. Like they really look like they're playing some of their best hockey, and it's a mix of things. I mean, Konechny has obviously found his way under Tortorella's tutelage to turn back into that sniper we always thought he'd be, that Brad Marchand type. And they're just getting some production out of everywhere, and it's fun to watch. It really is. I've turned on the TV, and I've been watching them. So kudos to – well, we knew that Torts would turn this around. We knew he would do something to make this team better. But to be better this quick after this big lull in the early season, really surprising. And to be really 5 points out of a playoff spot right now, it's all you can ask for.
Right.
With and a young team, and I don't say young from a perspective of it's young with the core players. There's still some long in the tooth players on this team, but he's finding ways to phase them out. The core is young. Frost, and you said obviously our goaltender. Like these kind of things are looking good. Konechny, I still think is a young player. I mean, we're getting nothing out of like the Ellises and the Couturiers because they can't even play.
Like you got the Farabees. You know.
He's playing great. Yeah,
honestly, a surprise. Well, I guess not a surprise. I mean, obviously he wasn't the haul back, but Owen Tippett.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Just been really exciting for Flyers hockey is relevant. That's all we want. Yeah, I mean, we want more obviously, but we know that there's some time coming here where it's going to take a little bit to build this thing back up to what we want. But relevance is all we wanted this year, and we're more than that right now. And it's good hockey. Talking about the last team here, as we look at the block in the upper right here when we talk fourth and go, talk to Philadelphia Phillies. And, not a ton. We've gotten into, a lot of the roster moves lately, but there was a sneaky one the other day, and I'm not fully, well scripted on this, but they made a good move, I think, with a South American signing or Central American signing, I should say.
Oh, Cabo, last name.
Yeah. Really nice move. And then when we take another step back, I saw the minor league pitching list today, and right at the top is Andrew Painter of most, polished, ready, upcoming prospects from a right-handed pitcher perspective, and right down on that list at number 9 was Micah Bell. So we're sitting there with 2 guys in the top 10 from the right-handed pitching perspective of prospects, according to a lot of the major publications out there. And Mark, we talked about this. If you look at the entity of what they're going to bring back pitching, obviously we got the Wheeler, the Nola, and we got the Ranger, and then bringing in Taijuan Walker. There's going to be a fight for that 5th spot. Zach Eflin's out. Kyle Gibson's out. I think they're setting that for a young kid, and I think Painter is going to have every opportunity.
I absolutely think so. I'm surprised that there hasn't been another move yet, but I guess I don't even know if there's anything they could. I'm trying to think of who's in line for that right now, not Painter.
I can't put one on my mind right now because, like I said, with Eflin and Gibson out, I mean, you could Bailey Falter. I guess you could give a shot, but
I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be the 5th starter going into the season, just because he did a decent job eating up innings.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's going to be. But I think I don't know how this works with Painter in regards to how the arbitration year works.
30 days.
Start 30 days.
I think
we'll probably wait probably another week after that, but then I think Painter will be up making.
Yeah, I think it's something like 30 days, and then you can keep him back from a year eligibility going to arbitration. So,
and that's that they always play that game, but I feel like
because what was his name? The little right Kingery. They were like, oh,
that's right. I was just about to say there was one instance where they didn't do it, and it was Kingery, and it didn't work out. Yeah, I know. I was all in on Kingery too. I was all in.
I was. But hey, I can guarantee you this one thing. I will get this Christmas tree on my background next weekend, man. I've been forgetting to take that thing to the curb, but it's been good luck because the Phillies sports teams have been playing really well over the past 3-4 weeks here. And I'm excited to see our trajectory for every team over the next, obviously few days into the next month and ahead. Mark, I'm going to try and find you this Saturday. We'll be hanging around Lincoln Financial Field with a really, I can't wait attitude. I mean, last time we really played a home football playoff game, we ended that game with what's his name playing quarterback because Wentz got hurt in the first quarter against Seattle. The guy that wants to be the coach of the Texans.
No, wait,
the quarterback. He was a high school football coach and came back and
Rosenfeld? No.
He looks like Top Gun. McCown, Josh McCown. Yeah. That's the last time I sat foot in Lincoln Financial and remembered a playoff game of value. But not even that game did I have a lot of confidence. I have confidence this weekend. And I can't wait for it.
As you should.
It's going to be rocking. So, brother, you got anything on the way out?
No, we're going to fly, Eagles fly. If you want to meet Fourth and Go, we're going to, find us around. We'll be there at Lincoln Financial Field this Saturday.
That's a great point. Hit us up on Twitter, DM, whatever you want. Beers on me if you reach out to me. I'll find a way. But
same.
All right. Until next week when we talk Eagles in the NFC Championship game, I'm Dave Gleckner. That's Mark Tomasini. The Blast in Philly 4-for-4 and so much more with Fourth and Go here at the Heat Ratio Sports Network. Let's get a dub and bring this one to championship weekend.